Believe it or not, but the township economy in South Africa is booming. Not everyone can afford to buy an expensive property from the get-go, or even afford a loan from the bank. I like to think that you should start with what you have, and if there's a will, there is a way. You can either be someone that complains and makes negative comments and does nothing to change your situation, or you can be someone that tries to change and grow and learn and contribute. I have heard many success stories of investors coming from very challenging backgrounds and succeeding in the property market, and I hope that this video will act as some form of inspiration, or that it provides hope to those that are willing to take the risk. Recent studies estimate that South Africa's township economy is worth approximately 100 billion rand annually, highlighting its significant contribution to the national GDP. Townships, which is home to millions of South Africans, are bustling hubs of entrepreneurial activity and innovation. In this video, I'm going to talk about how you can invest in these areas, and of course share a few things to be aware of if you consider following this strategy. The first option, and probably the most common one, is to rent out back rooms in these rural areas. Before we jump into it, here is a few really important considerations to take into account first. The first thing is location. Not all townships are equal, so make sure you research specific areas to assess the growth potential, infrastructure, and of course security. The second thing is the property type. Consider the type of property you want to invest in, such as residential, commercial, or even industrial. Then we need to think about risk tolerance. Investing in township property involves higher risk than traditional property investment. Assess your risk tolerance before making a decision or before deciding whether you want to pursue this strategy. More than 10% of South Africans live in backrooms, making it a very viable and thriving market, especially as more is being done to formalize it. If you are a landowner or know someone that owns land or have a potential partner or investor to invest with you, you can either rent out existing backrooms or focus on constructing a new decent backroom from scratch. If you do not have the funds available to build a backroom from scratch, there's obviously a couple of ways you can approach it, but something that I wanted to share with you is a company called Indlu Living. Indlu Living finances backrooms for landowners who battle to do it themselves. They assist with loans to design and build the backrooms and then link them with potential clients. The loan is then repaid with the income from tenants, and Indlu Living has developed about 1,000 properties following this strategy. So make sure you start researching potential solutions like Indlu Living so that you can get started and fund your project. Another very common way to invest in these areas is to simply rent out an entire property. Renting out an entire property can also be an option if you own or can build an entire house. Another great way to approach this is to use some capital to either add additional rooms, or you can divide the house so that you create a sharing kitchen and bathroom situation. And of course, at the end of the day, you can actually ask more rent for these properties because they are safer, more secure, and probably more spacious. There's of course many different strategies to make money in these areas, so I would love to hear from you guys. If you have some knowledge, feel free to share it down in the comments, and let's start a conversation and share any additional information that you can. With that said, there's obviously pros to investing in township properties, and some of the most common pros is high potential returns, and township properties values have shown significant growth potential in recent years, offering investors the opportunity for sustainable returns. Then another pro is the rental demand. There's a strong demand for rental accommodation in townships due to to a growing population and limited housing supply. This can lead to steady rental income, and of course, if you focus on the right type of deals, you can actually create a really good amount of cash flow. Another pro is the affordability. It's affordable compared to properties in more affluent areas, making them accessible to a wider range of investors. Another pro is government support. There are various government initiatives stimulating development in townships, which can create favorable investment conditions, and I would actually advise you to take some time to research the government solution so that you have a good understanding of this topic. Of course, there's cons as well, and some of the cons of investing in township property is of course market volatility. The township property market can be very volatile due to economic fluctuations and social factors. Another disadvantage or another con is infrastructure challenges, because some or most townships may have underdeveloped infrastructure such as poor roads, electricity supply, and sanitation, which can affect property values and rental demand. Another concern is security. Security issues can be a huge problem in certain townships, which may deter potential tenants. Another con is legal and regulatory challenges. Investing in township property can involve complex legal and regulatory issues requiring careful due diligence. The word due diligence is very important. Another con is tenant management, and this is a really big one. Managing tenants in township areas can be challenging due to factors such as rental defaults and property damage. Like with anything in life, it comes with risk and rewards. I believe that there's so much potential for these township areas, so for any investor and entrepreneur willing to take the risk, you can actually receive or create a really good income. If you are willing to put in the work, here is 6 tips that will ultimately help you succeed in this market. The first tip is to be aware of legal compliance. Ensure your property is zoned for residential use and that backroom rentals are permitted. Verify that any additional structures or modifications comply with building regulations and adhere to health and safety standards for your tenants. Then this is a very important one. You should have written rental agreements for each and every tenant. Then we get to property assessment. Determine the potential number of backrooms you can create. Consider essential amenities like bathrooms, kitchens, electricity supply, as well as infrastructure. Also assess the property's overall condition and necessary repairs or renovations. Number 3 is to do your market research. This is again really important, so research average rental prices for backrooms in your area and maybe speak to someone that has the right experience. Then analyze competition from other landlords in the area so that you know what you are up against. The 4th tip is financial planning. Obviously, we need to focus on startup costs, so calculate the cost of renovations, furniture, utilities, advertising, and any other expenses that you might occur. Then rental income. Estimate potential rental income based on market rates and occupancy. Then determine your expected return on investment and create a financial plan. The 5th tip is tenant management, and like you might know, the tenant is the bloodline of your business. So the first thing is screening. Implement a thorough tenant screening process to minimize your risks. Then rent collection. Establish a reliable rent collection system. Also, have a maintenance plan in place to address tenant issues properly. Also, set clear house rules and expectations for tenants from the beginning. The 6th tip is marketing. Utilize online platforms to advertise your available rooms and make sure that you can actually get the word out. Also, make sure you leverage your social network and word of mouth networking, because that's a great way to get the word out. You can also consider hiring a property management company that handles the tenant relations and maintenance and also has experience in the township areas. Following these 6 tips will help you minimize your risk and maximize your return. I also wanted to share some of the most common issues that most investors will face when following this strategy. The first one is illegal activities. Be vigilant about potential illegal activities on your property. Overcrowding is another issue, so avoid overcrowding to maintain comfortable living environments for all of your tenants. Another issue, of course, is security. I would suggest implementing adequate security measures to protect your property as well as your tenants. And last but not least is the tenant turnover. Be prepared for higher tenant turnover and the cost associated with finding a new tenant. Remember that building a successful backroom rental business requires careful planning, effective management, and a strong commitment to providing a quality living environment for your tenants.